Hi, I'm John Hornick. Welcome to my Richard tribute series where I make or modify the dishes by the late, great Michel Richard. This lesson is Michel's potato crisps from his Happy in the Kitchen cookbook. Michel used these baked, wafer-thin potato crisps as the top and bottom for Napoleons, as I do in making his creamed bacon potato puree. I also used them as a base for his Chicken Faux Gras. I have separate lessons for making both of those dishes. The great thing about this preparation is that it results in a log of the potato mixture, which you can freeze, then semi-thaw and slice when you need some potato crisps. So let's start cooking. Okay, now we're going to julienne the potatoes for the potato crisps. These are russet potatoes. You need about 1 pound. I've peeled them. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cut them into slices on this mandolin. I can't find my julienne blade for the mandolin, so what we're going to do is slice them and then cut them into narrow pieces. And you want your pieces of potato to fit on your mandolin. Okay, if it's too wide, you might have to trim off a little on the side. But these fit just fine. And I've set the setting to the widest setting on this particular device, which is about, as you can see, about 1/8 of an inch thick, okay? And what we're going to do is run all of these pieces through this mandolin. We're going to be very careful because the blade is sharp, and also potatoes are a little sticky because they're starchy. If they feel a little bit too starchy, just use a towel, dry them off a little bit, okay? Dry off your mandolin so it doesn't stick as much, and they should go through a bit easier, okay? Now what we're going to do is take these pieces and stack them and then cut them into julienne. Now julienne is just narrow pieces, narrow strips, okay? Kind of like the size of McDonald's French fries. There we go. Nice, kind of a matchstick size, okay? Okay, now we're going to heat our steamer, okay? So let's turn on the heat and cover the steamer and let this come to a boil so we start getting some steam out the vent holes. All right, now I've transferred the matchstick potatoes into a bowl, and now I'm going to toss them in the cornstarch. If you watch my videos, you know I don't usually measure things, but because I'm doing this preparation as a tribute to Michel Richard, I'm actually following his, I'm using his quantities, okay? And now what we're going to do is we're going to toss them. Now, the reason, why am I tossing them with tongs? So that we get more cornstarch on the potatoes than we get on my hands, okay? All right, now we're going to heat our double boiler. So here we have the bottom of the double boiler that has water in it, and we're going to put the top of the double boiler on, and then turn on the heat and get that water in the double boiler to boiling. Okay, our water is boiling down inside the steamer, so let's add the potatoes. And I want to get this handle up over the potatoes so it'll be easier to lift out later, okay? And now we're going to cover it and let them steam until they're soft but not falling apart, which should be around 6 minutes. Okay, we're here at the double boiler. We're going to add the gelatin to the top of the double boiler. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of cold water, and then we're going to stir that. Try to mix it up, melt the gelatin. All right, now we're going to add our melted butter. Stir it up to mix. Okay, now we're going to add the steamed potatoes to the butter mixture. Now we're going to add about a teaspoon of salt. which is what Michel calls for. Now we're going to mix the butter mixture with the potatoes. Okay, now we're going to make the potato mixture into a log, okay? And first we're going to wet the board. I'm using a marble board here. You could do it right on your countertop. Just wet it down a little bit. Why are we doing that? Because I'm going to put plastic out on the counter there, and I want it to stay in place, all right? So, taking a piece of plastic. I'm using wide plastic. You could do this with 12-inch wide plastic, but it will be harder to form the log without it squeezing out the ends, okay? So we're going to use a wider piece of plastic, lay it down on the board, stretch it out. Okay. Okay, now here's our potato mixture, which I've let cool enough that it can be handled, all right? We're going to put it down onto the plastic, and then we're going to form it roughly into a log shape. Now I'd say this is probably about 8 inches long, 8 or 9 inches long, and it's probably about 2.5 or 3 inches high, okay? Now I'm going to rinse off my hands. Now we're going to take the plastic and form the potatoes into a log by taking the plastic, lifting it up over the potato, right? Kind of squeezing it into a round log shape. And then we're going to use the straight edge, in this case I'm using my chef's knife, to kind of pull it back into a log shape. You can kind of see how it's becoming more of a round log by doing that, right? And I'm kind of tugging on that top piece of plastic a little bit while I'm doing that, all right? So I'm trying to get it into that log shape, all right? We don't want it to squeeze out the ends, and we want it to stay in a log shape pretty much uniformly throughout its entire length. Okay, I have it into a nice log shape now. Now I'm going to roll it. And we're going to twist those ends. Okay, now I'm going to put this onto a sizzle plate, okay? Now, Michel Richard floats this in an ice bath so that it stays perfectly round. If you sit it on a flat surface like this, you can get a flat spot on the bottom. I'm not going to worry about that. It's going to stay pretty round. And as you can see, I'm trying to form it into a better shape of roundness. And now, I'm going to fold these ends under a little bit so they don't come unwrapped. Okay? Now we're going to put this in the freezer until it is frozen solid. It's going to take at least 2 or 3 hours. So here is the potato crisp log that is frozen solid, all right? This is what we made yesterday. Now what we're going to do is let this soften enough that we can slice it, okay? Now you're going to have to keep a check on it. We don't want it to get too soft. We want it to be soft, just soft enough that we can slice it on the slicer. Okay, let's heat the oven to 300 degrees. Okay, now we're going to slice the potato crisps on the meat slicer. You know, I was in Cabela's the other day, and I saw that they have a pretty good selection of meat slicers at very reasonable prices. Michel says to use #1 on the meat slicer. I think it's going to depend on your slicer. He was probably I'm sure he was using a professional model. This is not a professional model. So you might have to experiment a little bit with your slicer. You want the slices to be about 1/16 of an inch thick, and I found that setting number 2 on my slicer was just about right. So now we're going to slice this piece that we've cut off into as many slices as we can. Okay, we're going to place this baking pan into the oven, which we've already preheated to 300 degrees. We're going to bake for 12 to 15 minutes until they're beautiful, brown, and crispy. And we're going to turn the pan once halfway through so that they bake evenly. Into the oven. Okay, here are our potato crisps, which I removed from the silpat and put them on a cold pan so that they could cool. As you can see, the baking is not exactly even, although I did turn the pan. What I did notice is that the edges that are darkest were sitting on top of the dark part of the edge of the silpat. Very interesting. And Michel says 10 to 12 minutes at 300 degrees. These took, some of them took like say 18 minutes, some of them took like 25 minutes. So you're just gonna have to keep an eye on them, take them out of the oven one at a time when they're done. Okay, you can see this one is really dark and brown. The others are kind of mottled brown. Okay, but they'll be fine for the Napoleons for which I'm going to use them. So now we're going to allow them to cool.